Good morning, everyone. It's Tuesday, April 13th, coming to you live from Seoul. I'm Kim Mo-gyeon. Our top story today, after years of will they or won't they, the Japanese government has finally confirmed it'll release radioactive water from the Fukushima nuclear power plant into the ocean. The question now is how Japan can and will carry out this plan. For more, we connect to our Choi Jung-yun at the News Center. Jung-yun.
Mo-gyeon, on Tuesday morning, the Japanese government said in a cabinet meeting that it will start releasing the water into the Pacific Ocean in 2 years. This is the first official statement after years of back and forth on how to process the still radioactive water that's been stored since 2011, when the powerful earthquake and tsunami of the same year all but destroyed the Fukushima power plant. More than 1.25 million tons of contaminated water are stored in tanks, of which only 30% meets the standard for release of radioactive materials into the sea. Although Japan claims it will eliminate most of radionuclides in the water, around 60 radioactive substances, including tritium, cannot be removed with technology currently available. So the Japanese government aims, if it can, to decrease the concentration of the radioactive substances in the water. It will tighten by 40 times its original standard of releasing tritium. It will dilute the radioactive level until there is 1,500 becquerels per liter. With approval by nuclear authorities still required, it will likely take a couple of years until the actual release starts. The water will be let out slowly until 2041 to 2051, which is the time frame Tokyo has set for the plant's total decommissioning. The plan was announced despite strong opposition from 24 countries and over 300 NGOs. South Korea's foreign ministry has said it would not be unacceptable for Tokyo to release the water without sufficiently consulting its neighbors, citing safety and the environment. However, Tokyo's statement this morning made no note of those or other concerns. That's all I have at this hour. Back to you, Mo-gyeon.
Thank you for that, Chung-yun. Now turning to the COVID-19 situation in South Korea, the nation reported 542 new COVID-19 cases on Tuesday, continuing to hover along the 500 to 600 mark. This is an evident increase compared to last month, when the average figures were in the 300s. Of Tuesday's new cases, 528 were local and 14 were from overseas. There were 5 more deaths, bringing the death toll to 1,775. The South Korean government will help local companies produce more COVID-19 vaccines in order to ensure herd immunity can be achieved more swiftly. This pledge coming from President Moon Jae-in at an emergency meeting Monday, during which he said vaccines from Novavax will be available in South Korea by the third quarter. Our Hong Yu reports.
Amid growing concerns over a fourth wave of the pandemic, President Moon Jae-in says that the South Korean government is doing all it can to stabilize the supply of vaccines through domestic production. President Moon made the announcement on Monday while presiding over an emergency COVID-19 meeting.
이달부터 노바백스 백신의 국내 생산이 시작되고 상반기 백신 생산에 필요한 원부자재도 확보했습니다. 6월부터 완제품이 출시되고 3분기까지 2천만 회분이 우리 국민들을 위해 공급될 예정입니다.
Meanwhile, the Moon administration will continue to search for ways to produce and procure extra vaccines in order to distribute them as soon as possible. The president has asked officials to monitor vaccine rollouts in other countries to find other vaccines that are verified as safe and effective. Health Minister Kwon Duk-cheol said at a briefing on Monday that the government has acquired 150 million doses in total for this year, enough to inoculate 79 million people. This is enough for around 150% of South Korea's population. 18 million doses will be used in the first half of the year to inoculate a total of 12 million people, including those who have already been given their vaccines. The government has also created a task force in which all ministries related to vaccines, such as the Foreign Ministry and the Health Ministry, will work together to speed up the inoculation process. South Korea aims to achieve herd immunity by November or earlier if possible, while at the same time securing modified vaccines for mutant viruses and vaccine doses for next year's rollout. Hong Yu, Arirang News.
The WHO is warning the pandemic is now growing exponentially with more than 4.4 million new infections globally over the past week. Speaking at a news conference Monday, the WHO's team leader on COVID-19 noted a 9% spike in cases, adding it marks the 7th straight week of increases. Over the same time frame, there was also a 5% increase in COVID-19 deaths. The WHO officials said some countries have been easing restrictions even as new cases are more than 8 times higher than a year before. With apparent activity at North Korea's main shipyard where the regime builds submarine-launched ballistic missiles, the South Korean military says it's closely monitoring the situation. This comes amid concerns that the North could carry out provocations around April 15th, the birthday of the regime's founder. Kim Hyo-sun with more.
New satellite images released by a U.S.-based website specializing in North Korea show that activity and movement has been detected at the North Simpo shipyard located in South Hamgyong province. 38 North explained the regime may be modifying its submersive missile test barge at the site. It said the missile canister for the test barge has likely been removed, adding that this could possibly be for maintenance or for the replacement of a new canister or launch frame to fit larger submarine-launched ballistic missiles or SLBMs. The website went on to speculate that the latest movements spotted during the past few weeks could indicate that the regime is undergoing preparations to roll out a new ballistic missile submarine, modify the test barge to accommodate large SLBMs, or even making early preparation for an SLBM test. Today, Seoul's military says it is preparing for several possible scenarios.
The Korean military is closely monitoring the latest development under close coordination with Washington and will continue to maintain a readiness posture.
North Korea is celebrating the birth anniversary of the late grandfather of current leader Kim Jong-un, which falls on April 15th, with large sports and cultural events. It's left to be seen whether Pyongyang will carry out a test launch or disclose its new submarine to celebrate the birthday of the country's founder, which is also dubbed the Day of the Sun. Kim Hyo-sun, Arirang News.
U.S. President Joe Biden says there has to be aggressive investment in infrastructure to protect supply chains, including those for semiconductors and batteries. He made the remarks at a virtual summit Monday with chief executives from 19 companies, including South Korea's Samsung Electronics.
Chips like the one I have here, these chips, these wafers, are batteries, broadband, it's all infrastructure. This is infrastructure. So look, we need to build the infrastructure of today, not repair the one of yesterday. And it's going to make America research and development a great engine again.
The meeting comes as a massive global chip shortage has slammed numerous industries. The South Korean government has extended the period of stay for foreigners visiting or working by 1 additional year. Seoul's Justice Ministry and Employment and Labor Ministry announced on Tuesday that any foreigner holding an E9 employment visa or H2 visitor visa starting on Tuesday can apply to extend their visa status. This comes as the government witnessed labor shortages in small and medium-sized companies amid the COVID-19 pandemic. An estimated 70,000 to 110,000 foreigners will be eligible for the visa extension. Last year, South Koreans' spending on lottery tickets increased while their total expenditure went down. The Korean Statistical Information Service stated on Tuesday that the average monthly spending on the lottery by households in 2020 was up by just over 7% compared to the previous year. However, during the same period, local household expenditure fell by around 2%, marking the highest decline since 2006, when relevant data started being compiled. People in the top and bottom 20% income brackets turned out to spend almost 45% more money on the lottery last year compared to the year before. It appears more people have pinned their hopes on the lottery to make a fortune amid the COVID-19 economic fallout. Iran is blaming Israel for sabotaging its underground nuclear facility, warning it will take revenge. The Israeli prime minister at a joint news conference with the U.S. Secretary of Defense slammed Iran, saying he will never allow the regime to obtain nuclear capability. Lee Seung-jae reports.
Blaming Israel for the attack, which damaged centrifuges used to enrich uranium at its underground Natanz nuclear facility, Iran's foreign ministry warned it would take revenge.
They should know Iran's response will be revenge against the Zionist regime in the right time and place.
The remarks by the Foreign Ministry also marked the first official accusation against Israel for Sunday's attack that cut power across the facility. Iranian authorities described the incident as an act of nuclear terrorism. The Foreign Ministry added Tehran would replace the damaged centrifuges with more advanced ones. While Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu didn't directly respond to the Iranian allegations, he called Iran a fanatical regime during a joint news conference in Jerusalem with U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin on Monday, while clarifying what his policy is on Iran's nuclear development.
In the Middle East, there is no threat that is more serious, more dangerous, more pressing than that posed by the fanatical regime in Iran. My policy as Prime Minister of Israel is clear. I will never allow Iran to obtain the nuclear capability to carry out its genocidal goal of eliminating Israel.
While Israel has not directly claimed responsibility, Israeli media widely reported that the country orchestrated a cyber attack on the facility. Pundits say that if Israel was responsible, it would further heighten tensions between the longtime regional foes. 이승재, Arirang News.
It's becoming increasingly more common to see drones involved in the investigation of accidents. Last year, the Ulsan Coast Guard launched a non-governmental drone search troop that has contributed to activities including ocean purification, maritime quarantine, and even saving lives. Our Ian Jin reports.
An incoming report of a missing person at sea calls for a fleet of drones. They quickly locate the missing person and report the situation to the Coast Guard, who then sails out to the person's location and pulls them out of the water. This is the training scene set by a drone search party group in the southeastern port city of Ulsan. Founded last July, the group has 39 pilots with drone licenses who work as search party troops.
While doing volunteer work, we started wondering if there was a way for us to help the community. This led us to establish the Hinsuri Drone Search Squad.
In the first year of its establishment, Hinsuri was busy purifying ocean water and assisting in COVID-19 quarantine work. Then, just last month, they were first to locate a reported missing woman in her 30s at Daewangam Park.
There's a great sense of achievement, realizing that drones can help out in such search activities.
One great advantage of using drones is that they can access areas that ships can't, like rock faces. Another benefit is the reduction of labor while increasing efficiency.
Last year, the drone search troops devoted their efforts towards quarantine projects and purifying the ocean. But going forward, we hope to focus on disaster relief and search operations.
The Ulsan Coast Guard is looking to increase its drone search activity and would like to expand its equipment inventory and infrastructure. Ian Jin, Arirang News.
Good morning. The AM commute was bearable with double-digit morning lows in most parts of the country, while some regions continue to see rain lingering from yesterday, which should let up shortly. Then sunny skies will return with cool winds, but brace for spring cold for the rest of the day. Afternoon temperatures in Seoul will be a couple notches lower than yesterday and the season norms this afternoon, while regions in the east will enjoy milder daytime highs today. Then those of us in the capital will notice a much colder morning on Wednesday at a low of just 3 degrees Celsius here in Seoul, and it's going to remain cooler than the norms through the rest of the week. That's Korea for you, and here's a look at the weather conditions around the world.
before we let you go, we have some breaking news. The United States just responded to Japan's latest decision to release radioactive water into the ocean, claiming that it is in accordance with international safety standards. We will have more on this story in our later newscast. Now, that will do it for us at this hour. We'll be back at noon Korea time. Thank you for watching.